Saw from the year 2004. It's a horror movie. It debatably, and I think it did start the torture porn genre. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was just like, "Who? What's that tapping?" Everything's fine. But yeah, I think it started the torture porn genre with like the basic concept of someone just getting tortured and there being lots of gore. It's usually someone like chained up, like in this movie. But this movie is interesting because it's not like the other Saw movies, and I've only seen Saw 3 other than this one, and I did not like Saw 3. But and to my understanding, all the other ones are kind of more like Saw 3 than than Saw 1, because Saw 1 sort of stands alone. It's a little more cerebral. It's more of a mystery, more of a thriller. Yes, there's gore, but it's not as much about that. It's not about the crazy traps, although that's a part of it. It's more about thinking, why are these guys here? Who's doing this? What's going on? And I kind of like that about it. Um, I just rewatched it today. The genre is so weird. I don't know how to feel about it. I watched Would You Rather as well. Yes, I watched it last time. Do you want to come talk in the Discord, G-Bergs? Or can you? But yeah, no, it's very exactly. It's in that sort of genre of torture porn movies. Would You Rather? I liked Would You Rather probably more than this actually, but you can't. This started it all, so you got to give it a little bit credit for at least being the first of his genre. Again, if I feel like that's right. Am I wrong to say that? I feel like this is what started it. Started the genre. I'm homesick from work. Okay. Oh, that's why you're able to hang out. Okay, that sucks. Oh, so you can't you can't talk, but that's fair. If you can, it's okay. Um, you probably have no voice. You have COVID. Are you okay? I hope you feel better. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. But yeah, no, this movie. If people don't know the general premise, I've basically said it. But these two guys are stuck in a room, and we're slowly trying to unravel the mystery. I'm not gonna ruin it, even though like most people have seen this movie. Um, I might say some of the stuff towards the end, but I'll try to not ruin the big twist. But no, this movie, the basic plot is these guys are chained up in this random weird looking room, and they're both chained by the leg, and they find this tape, and they find out that someone has put them here, and that they have to escape, and the one guy, Dr. Gordon, has to kill Adam, or someone's gonna kill his family, and it's a whole mystery, like who's doing this, who's orchestrating this evil trap, what's gonna happen. And I think I enjoy it. This movie has its problems. In fact, the people, James Wan and the other people who made this movie, they don't like this movie because there's lots of things in it that they wish they could have made better because of the budget. They weren't able to do well. But I have some notes, and we'll get into it, and some things they could have done. But also, it's just maybe partially they didn't know what to do when they were making it. But boy, did they do a good job, because it spawned one of the most, possibly the most successful horror franchise, possibly, of all time. I'm not sure about that, but I feel like it might be. It would be as a contender, at least. Because there's a lot of them. There's like 11 of these movies now, or 10 or 11. Something, or they're making 11 or something like that. I think there's at least 10, I know that now. But anyways, let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes page. So it gets 50% from the critics. I feel like, especially at this time, like anything like this with a whole bunch of gore, critics are going to be like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. And it's half and half, so some of them obviously understood that at least like it was doing something with a little bit of substance too. 84% for the audience score, but this is because that's what these fucking movies are for. They're for the audience. And of course, the audience eats this shit up. But let's click on it. So it would be an average of 5.6 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes if you went by the average. So it'll bump it up to 56% and 84% for the audience, but if you go by the average rating, it would be more like 82%. So it would go down slightly, but about the same, whatever. The point is that it's beloved by the audience, and the critics seem to be sort of half and half, give or take. But let's read some of these reviews. The sound of Jigsaw's gravelly voice pouring out of the tape recorder is still as ominous a sound as one could imagine, and the big reveal still comes as a genuine shock. It does come as a shock, like a lot of the things I didn't expect. It was definitely a good twist. Again, I won't ruin it exactly, but there is one thing I'll get into in my notes when we get there. But we're not there yet. Okay, that's a good review. Let's read a bad review. How such a cruelly empty and infantile movie got made is mystery enough. More puzzling is why Cary Elwes, Danny Glover, and Monica Potter would sign on as co-stars. Because it was a fresh idea at the time, and they needed work. They needed money. This movie had a budget of $1 million, which is a very low budget. And Danny Glover is in this movie, and he's like kind of a big deal. I mean, I feel like at one point he would have been A-list, like when Lethal Weapon was going. I feel like he was maybe A-list then, but he's definitely not now. Although he was in that Jumanji a little while ago, and 2004 he was maybe falling off, but he was still a big name and known really well. So he must have gotten some sort of a check. Like there was enough of that million to give Danny Glover something, but he must have not got paid that much for it. Unless he got like half of the budget, but I don't think that's what happened. Here's another bad review. James Wan's horror film Saw is full of demented twists and guilty-looking actors, but the scenario is cruel enough to make you squirm. That's sort of the point, though. A contrived, unlovable gore fest with a high-concept premise. Well, I agree with the high-concept premise, but the gore fest, unlovable. Some people clearly love it, so that's not true. For you, I guess so. Mr. fucking David Gritton of the Daily Telegraph. Okay, anyway. There's something impressively loathsome and extravagantly twisted about this horror thriller from first-timer James Wan. Okay, I think we've read enough. We get what the critics are saying. We get the basic gist. Let's look at the IMDb page. 7.6 out of 10 is what it gets, which is pretty good. Honestly, that's very good. But it's the first Saw. It's beloved. It started the whole franchise and genre, I think. Again, I'm not 100% on that, but I think so. Okay, Cary Elwes. So let's look at this guy. And I didn't really recognize him, but then I watched the review and they talked about he was in other shit. And he's in Saw. Oh, he's in a ton of fucking shit. He was in The Princess Bride, for fuck's sakes. He played Wesley. He was in Robin Hood Men in Tights, which I've never seen, but I know what it is. And Saw, of course. And Kiss the Girls, which I don't know what that is. But obviously, Saw. And The Princess Bride, cool. So he's in... excuse me. He's in other stuff. Danny Glover, of course, as I mentioned. And Dina Meyer. Let's see. What else is she in? Dina Meyer. She's known for Starship Troopers. Oh, yeah. She's Diz. She's Diz in Starship Troopers. I love Starship Troopers so much. Oh, she's also in Johnny Mnemonic. Oh, she's Jane. We just reviewed that not too long. Oh, she's also in Saw 2 as the same character, apparently. So they bring her back. That's cool. She is one of the people that escaped from the trap, so it makes sense. But yeah, they were making one of these movies every year for quite a while. One of the most successful horror franchises. It'll be fun to look at how much money this made, because I think it made a shitload off the $1 million budget. let's see. Then that's basically the cast. Let's look at the budget. Ooh, the budget. Oh, okay, so it had a little over $1 million budget. A $1,200 budget. Still pretty low, though. Gross worldwide, $103 million. Holy fuck. So yeah, that's very good. That's a very good return on a $1,200 or 12 how do you say that? $1,200,000. Let's just say that. 1.2 million. That's it. That's the ticket. Okay. But yeah, holy shit, 103 million on a 1.2 million budget. Damn, that's good. Oh, that's so crazy, folks. Okay, anyways. Let's get into me notes now. Oh yeah. But yeah, whoever's watching, I appreciate you. D Jesus, G Bergs. Hope you're having a nice Wednesday. I mean, I know you're sick, G Bergs, but I hope it's not too bad. I hope you don't feel too shitty. I hope you get over it soon. Sickness always sucks. Is it COVID? My brother just had COVID. Let's look at the Saw notes. So my first note is dead bodies don't move, apparently. Because someone at one point says that. They're like, dead bodies don't move. And it's like, well, yeah. I just thought that was funny. Wouldn't you look in the toilet tank first? So there's like a clue or whatever. They're in this room, chained up, and it's like look in the toilet or something. I forget what the clue is exactly, but the conclusion was they should look in the toilet. And his fucking instinct is to stick his hand up in the fucking shit in the shitty ass toilet, and like I would have checked the toilet tank first, and it was in the toilet tank. And they do make the joke like, oh, I guess I should have checked the tank first. It's like, yeah, you fucking should have. Next note is Danny Glover. We already talked about this. He's in this movie. They say Jigsaw's not a murderer, but he is, though. He is. He sets up all this shit. He is the fucking ultimate. He's ultimately the one responsible. So he is a murderer. But at one point, someone's like, well, he's not the one physically doing it. He puts them in these situations, so they have to do it to themselves. But they wouldn't be in these situations if it weren't for fucking Jigsaw. So he is a murderer. That's all. Next note. Where are all these rooms that Jigsaw uses? So he puts all these fucking different people in these crazy traps, in these crazy rooms, in these crazy places. But where are these rooms? Like, they say at one point there was like an abandoned mill or something, but are they all in this fucking abandoned mill? They can't all be, because the one place is not. He probably goes to another place, which leads me, where is he getting into all these fucking abandoned buildings and shit? I have questions about the real estate aspects of this movie. My favorite continuity error is when Larry can't reach the phone after it was just lying right beside his head. There were some fucking points about that. I didn't write it down, but I remember thinking at certain points in the movie and being like, wasn't the phone closer to him? Didn't he have it? Like, I was thinking about that shit. I didn't write that down. But yeah, totally. That is so funny. But it just shows you that people can overlook that shit. Like in Die Hard, there's a big continuity error where they show the van and they show that it's fucking empty, and then later they show that there's a fucking bomb on it or whatever. I forget. It's been a while since I've seen Die Hard. But the point is the continuity error. Moving on. My next note is early 2000s editing. That early 2000s editing, though. I don't like this about these movies, but I'm not really gonna blame Saw for it. I'm more gonna blame the era, because this was popular to just like fucking spin the camera around and like fucking zoom in and out and fucking just make you want to puke. There's a few, it's not constant, so the movie's still like tolerable, but every once in a while I'll be like, and it's like my brain, and I don't like those parts. Buddy in the middle of the room used or focus to slow his heart rate down so he didn't have to breathe apparently. There's a few things that don't make a lot of sense. I'm not gonna lie. But I think most people can just suspend their disbelief. And yeah, the whole thing, we'll get into that a little more. I have a note about the cigarette. Because that's when it all fucking sort of starts with the electricity stuff. But yeah, this movie is insane. But I did kind of like it. It's not amazing, but considering the budget and the constraints, they did a good job. Moving on. My next note is Jigsaw. Okay, I laughed really hard at one point only in this movie. When they show the Jigsaw puppet, which I don't fucking understand. Like, is the Jigsaw puppet, like, they have it on streams? How was he riding that fucking bike? How? But for that part when he rides out on the bike, Jigsaw, the puppet, whatever, it's so funny, because he's just fucking, like, it looks so silly. I laughed so hard at that part. Anyway, my next note is, wouldn't the surgeon have seen the other guy get put into the tub? So yeah, Dr. Gore, the more I think about this, I don't know. It's possible that they get put in at the same time. Dr. Gordon wakes up and fuck boys underneath. But yeah, I don't know, because it just seems like he gets put in the tub, Adam, and then he's like underneath water. So then he wakes up like almost immediately. So whoever put him in there must have put him in there like pretty quick. And you'd think that Dr. Pat would have seen this by now because he's over there. It's possible that he like waked up at the perfect time to have not seen him get put in, but like someone put him in and we're not seeing all this shit. So I there's lots of things in this movie that don't add up, so I'm just gonna move on. How was Jigsaw on the bike? So yeah, we already talked about him on the bike, but how the fuck did it work? Is he like on strings? How is the puppet operating the fucking bike? Or a tricycle or whatever the fuck. It's like a penny farthing bike or something. It's like a penny farthing trike or something like that. But anyway, the point is, he's a puppet. Like, they show he's a puppet at one point. It's like, how are they getting this puppet to do all this shit? I don't understand the logistics of it. I just don't understand. But my next note is... drill machine is taking longer than 20 seconds. There's a point when Danny Glover and his partner have got Jigsaw cornered, or so we think. But there's a guy like in a trap, he's like in a chair with these fucking drills slowly moving towards his head. But there were so many things where I was like, just fucking like break those things, which he ends up doing. It's like, why didn't you think of that immediately? Just fucking break the drill bits off. And then it won't fuck up the guy. He's trying to find a key to open it, and he's like falling into Jigsaw's traps. But no, my point is they say that this thing's taking 20 seconds. I was counting. It takes way longer than 20 seconds. The drills are still so fucking far away from his head. So that's another sort of continuity thing. I feel like they show it really close to his head, then they showed it farther away at one point. But anyway, moving on. Should call an ambulance while you chase Jigsaw. So Danny Glover's partner, Danny Glover got shot, so Danny Glover's partner is going to chase Jigsaw, but he should be, like, because Danny Glover got shot, so he should be phoning an ambulance or, like, radioing or whatever while he's running, because, like, it seems, although Danny Glover's apparently just fine, like, he survives, he's still in the movie later on, but still, I think that it would have made more sense if they had him phone in the ambulance, because he's your buddy. I think you try to help him. My next note is development of plot is not bad. I do like the twists and turns and shit, even though everything doesn't add up. The general plot is cool. Like again, I don't want to ruin the twist in case anyone hasn't seen this. Like I hadn't. You know, just in case, because I don't like ruining movies, even if they are really old, like this one is now. It's almost 20 years old, in fact. It's almost It'll almost be the 20-year anniversary of Saw. It will be soon. But anyway, next note is... would you immediately shoot Zap? So Zap is... Okay, I have to give away a little bit of the twist. I just talked about how I wasn't gonna. But spoiler, I sort of have to explain this part to talk about this note. But so Zep is another part of this game. He's an orderly at the hospital that Dr. Gordon works at. And he's been given this poison that's going to kill him unless he does exactly what Jigsaw says. So now Zep is orchestrating this evil game for Jigsaw. And he's supposed to kill Dr. Gordon's parents. Or not Dr. Gordon's parents, Dr. Gordon's wife and daughter. If he's supposed to kill them, if he doesn't kill Adam within a certain amount of time or whatever, right? So my question is, why the fuck doesn't... There's a point where they have an opportunity to shoot Zap. Because he, like, yes, it's not his fault. He's being made to do this shit, but we don't know this at the time. Like, it just seems like he's the fucking bad guy. So wouldn't they shoot him? Wouldn't they try to kill him? Like, they had... Especially because she's been held captive, the wife of Dr. Gordon. And she's just fucking... They do this trope in movies all the time where she could just shoot him. She has the gun. She has it pointed at him. And she doesn't fucking kill him. Like, I don't know. Or at least shoot him in the leg or something. Like, just fuck him up so he can't fuck you and your daughter up. My next note is, you should make sure Zep is dead before you untie your daughter. Because, yeah, she goes over to the daughter, and it's like, Zep is right there. Like, he's going to try to fuck with your shit, even though you have a gun. Like, you should take him out of commission so you can save the daughter. Billy is the name of the puppet. It's actually the name of Jigsaw. It's secretly just Billy. The whole time. Who would have thunked it? D Jesus in the house. Can we get a shout out for D Jesus? I think we should. You can give yourself a shout out too, because you're a mod. But I'm gonna do one because I feel like you deserve the Big Daddy shout out. Folks should follow D Jesus if you haven't already. My next note is, what happened with the cigarette? So, there's a dead body in the middle of this room that Adam and Dr. Gordon are chained up to. And at one point, one of the little packages they find in the walls or whatever the fuck, that has some cigarettes in it. And Adam is addicted to ciggies. So, there's all this blood, and we find out that the blood, he has like poison in his blood. The guy that's dead in the middle of the floor. So Dr. Gordon sticks the cigarette in it, the blood, and gives it to Adam. And then Adam fucking has a heart attack or whatever and seemingly dies. But then he gets shocked by the thing and it brings him back. So yeah, I don't fucking understand the science, but I just sort of was like, you know what? I'm not a doctor. I don't know how that shit works. It doesn't seem right, but I don't fucking know how it works, so I'm just gonna let it slide. Jigsaw is John Kramer. Who is John Kramer? Cosmo Kramer? No, that's Seinfeld. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But moving on, next note. Adam doesn't seem like he's bleeding. So, yeah, they do this in movies all the time, though, another sort of horror trope, where they have a character bleeding like Adam is, and it just doesn't seem like he is. He's not acting like he's hurt really much. But next note is, what did Zep do to deserve to get fucking injected with poison? All we see him do is, stick up for who we find out is, I guess, spoiler, even though I'm not saying it, so not really. But we find out that he was sticking up for Jigsaw, basically. So I don't understand why he fucking hates Zep. What did Zep do? I kind of get the other two, even though they didn't really do anything wrong, because Dr. Gordon didn't actually cheat, I don't think. And Adam is just, doing his job, taking pictures of cheating people, so I don't really get why they're so bad. But I really don't understand why Zap's bad. What the fuck did he do? Adam faked the poisoning. Okay, that's what happened there. Is he? Okay, so he kind of knew it. Okay, I didn't get that. I totally didn't catch that. I wasn't sure what happened there. So that explains it a little bit for me. Thank you, G. Bergs. John has been posing as a corpse on the floor. Yes, that part I got at the end there. Larry plotted in the dark. So that's right, John. That's the name of the guy at the thing. That's right. I forgot his actual name, but right, John Kramer. Larry. But what about Zepp? What did he do to deserve this shit? Hashtag justice for Zepp. Anyway, moving on. They don't try to saw the locks. So, this is something I didn't think about, but I was watching a review of this, and they pointed out that they have their ankles chained up with these big, like, cuffs or whatever, and there's these little locks, though, and they when they get the hacksaws, they try to saw the chain, but they don't try to saw the little lock, which I think would be probably easier to saw because it's like there's less metal there. Or there's lots of blunt objects. They could like try to smash the locks and stuff. They don't try to do that. I feel like they don't try to get out of it as hard as they could have in some instances. But moving on. My last note, in fact. What happens to Dr. Gordon? Because they show, like, does he die? Probably, but we don't know that. Because they show him, he saws his leg off to get the fuck out. And then then it ends. And then this is the part I won't give away, the twist end. But what happens to Gordon? I don't know. Apparently they might bring him back for Saw 11 or some shit. I heard. But yeah. I think this guy is also in Liar Liar. Like, isn't this the guy who plays Dr. Pat? I think he's also the love interest for Jim Carrey's wife. Like, he's the other guy in Liar Liar, I think. Anyway, I digress. The point is, I don't know, I would have liked to know a little more. Like, when it ended, it felt a little abrupt to me. It's like, what? I would have liked to know what happened to Dr. I call him Dr. Pat. I don't know. Whatever, the fucking surgeon guy. That's my point. I may have gotten his name wrong this entire time. His name is Larry. I don't know. Yeah, I kept calling him Pat. I'm so sorry. I don't know where the fuck I got that from. But yeah, Dr. Gordon. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry, G. Briggs. Very disrespectful. You're right. Inexcusable. But anyways, Saw was pretty good. You know, I think especially for such a low budget, I think they did a good job. And yeah, some things don't make sense, but I can forgive it. I'm gonna give it like 7.5. Like, it's not amazing, but I do think they accomplished a lot with the budget they had. They got Danny Glover, and this guy, Cary Elwes, who's clearly had a career other than this movie. But yeah, Saw. 7.5 out of 10 ducks.